Hey everyone, this is Rushlock, and I'm joined by Chelebelle, and we're going to be talking about X-Men Blue 1 through 6 today. Um, so X-Men Blue follows the time-displaced X-Men. I think it's pretty much, the roster is exactly the same as what, All New X-Men?
Um, Pretty much, as far as I know. I tried to read All New X-Men. I only got through about maybe 16 or 17 issues, and I actually only picked it up because X-23 was in it at
I was
some
going to
point.
say, yeah, I remember she was in there because they had a relationship for her and Young Warren, I think.
And don't even get me started on that.
I was going to say, and I'm pretty sure that entire relationship's been dumpstered and, like, had no long-standing repercussions other than, I guess he got his different wings whenever that arc was going on. Let's see. So, time displaced X Men. Like you mentioned, Magneto is their mentor. So, like early on, they get a little throwback battle. They fight Black Tom Cassidy, who is Banshee's cousin, and Juggernaut. And the two of them are like old buddy, old pals. Like they've run together for years and years and years. Um, Juggernaut seems, but Juggernaut and Black Tom seemed unaware of what's going on in terms of like time displaced X Men. So I
And
don't
you,
know how long Juggernaut's been out
I
of the
was
picture.
kind of surprised because at this point I would have figured most people have kind of caught on because
Right,
they've been around for a long time and they're clearly not the older X-Men who are all either scattered or
right.
dead or.
Well, Black Tom, the last time I saw him, he was dead. I thought he died of the legacy virus a long time ago. Which I mean, it's comics; they bring people around whenever they need them. But
Yeah.
what's going on with Juggernaut? If you happen to know, in his like steampunk suit, like do you know anything about that?
Don't.
Because he's also on the cover of Iceman 5 in the same suit. I didn't know what the deal was. Like again, the last time I saw Juggernaut, he was on the X Men. So a lot has definitely happened since I've been in comics. So I've definitely got some back reading to do.
Yeah, clearly. But the first issue. I liked the art. I think we get the same artist for the first 5 issues. So I was giving it a go, and it seemed the only really odd thing to me in issue one was that they reveal that they are being mentored by Magneto like it's some big shocking thing. Only that was part of the solicits to begin with. So
Right.
it
Yeah,
seems
because
to
in the
me it
first
would have.
issue, it's a reveal at the end, and you
Yeah,
don't.
it's like I would think you should have probably left that as a moment of surprise. However, that said, if it had been a surprise, I wouldn't have
You wouldn't be
written
here,
the
yeah.
book in the first place.
So I'm looking at the credits and the covers, and it looks like Molina did the art for issues 1 through 3, and then it goes to Lopez for 4 and 5, and then 6 has somebody else. It looks like a long list of artists on 6. So again, this seems to be Marvel's thing now, though. I will say there was a lot of consistency. Like I didn't notice a jarring change in art style between.
I actually
Um,
didn't notice it had
right.
changed between the first two artists. I noticed when we got to six.
I didn't notice until I sit down to do the prep for these sessions. Like that's when I start looking through. I'm like, all right, let's see how. Because I always like to know. As a kid, I never paid attention to this stuff, but now as an adult, I'm like, all right, you know, why am I getting a different artist every 3 months, every 3 issues, and things like that? And um, I don't know. Someone who's better steeped in the business industry side of things would have to tell me because I have no idea. But I remember as a kid, like I grew up on Kubert art and Jim Lee arts, and like you would get these like for long arcs at a time. At least as a kid, it seemed that way. Maybe just as a kid,
Yeah,
this time frame and getting comics one at a time and things like that just
it would
made
feel
it
like the
seem that
same
way.
person was doing it forever.
Right. Which I think back in the '90s that was kind of like the thing, right? Like they wanted a kind of a not an exact copy and paste, but they definitely wanted consistency in art styles.
Well,
Like
even through, I want to say in the 2000s, because like Runaways, for example, had the same writer and art team until they switched writers, and then they brought on a new art team.
but it seems to be a more recent trend with the whole, you know, let's try this combination for 3 months, and then
See
they
if it
started
works,
having
and
like
then we'll
different
try
writers
something
and
else.
artists every 6 months, right? Like not every title, obviously, but there was a lot of
Could
occurrences.
be.
It seemed like every 6 months they would just change everything up for the sake of changing it up. You know, no, maybe writers are just tired of writing the same source material after a little while because it's a creative process. And
And it could be, but some writers definitely write certain characters better than others, and
right,
then you kind of get weird disconnects where, I mean, like the dropping the Archangel, Angel, whatever he is called right now, and the X-23 relationship. I mean, I was cool with that going away, but some people apparently liked that. So
let's see. So they also the Windigo tease in issue 1. To any long running comic reader, that's probably going to be standing out. And let's see, an abominable snowman type thing up in the north. There's can only be one possible thing. Well, nothing else could be the result of this.
Yeah.
I know at the end of issue 1 they kind of tease out the upcoming in X-Men Blue, and they show you all these like future casted things of this character Jimmy, like this young Wolverine thing going on. There was a panel of like Generation X, like the old Generation X, not the current one, which to my knowledge at the time of this video they still haven't gone back to address yet. Somewhere early on there's a reveal for Magneto, and okay, it's all about issue 2. Okay, so issue 2 has all this stuff about Magneto where he's the mentor, he's the one moving behind the scene, keeping these guys funded and trained and all that. And you get a flashback of interaction between him and Jean. What was that?
And then you get his pitch to Jean, which, I mean, it was kind of funny. Why would you go meet Magneto in a junkyard? That seems fairly suicidal, but,
In fact, yeah, they even go to the next scene of, like, them training against Magneto in the danger room, and then Jean erases the session, like, yeah, we don't want him knowing that we're prepping for it. But it turns out, like, both Iceman and Beast didn't show up for the training session, so you get some character development on them for... Hank is kind of holed up in his lab, but we're all used to 616 Beast doing that and sciencing things out. But it looks like this Beast is practicing magic, and he's talking to somebody, himself. It seems like, but it seems pretty obvious there's another entity involved, and there's somebody pulling the strings on his whole magical development side.
Yeah, foreshadowing to something that will come up creepy later, I'm sure.
I'm under the impression it'll be like one of those, like, I'm going to give you power and you're going to pay a debt later type of things. Like, it seems like
could be. Also, I've noticed they're continuing the trend of, poor Scott being the punching bag for everyone, although this one seems much less deserving of it than the original one, if you ask me.
No, absolutely. Yeah, he just goes around trying to mend fences and fix bridges, and he gets the door slammed on him everywhere he goes. Iceman has a drama, so young Iceman has been gay for most of his, I presume, run through these comics. At least most of the time I've read the character in different titles. Which obviously has, different repercussions for the 616 Iceman. That's a whole separate topic. But we get a bit of scene in here where he's dealing with just teenage, interrelationship drama. That's why he wasn't in his training session. And then in this issue, there's Magneto reveals his ultimate plan, apparently. So he's talking to, what's the robot's name? Ferris, or?
Ferris, yeah.
Ferris, yeah. And it's almost like a Jarvis relationship where Iron Man will have Jarvis building suits for him in the movies, and he comes kind of checks on him every once in a while. Magneto's coming to check on Ferris, and like, what are you up to? And he's like, all right, the time machine is almost ready. You can send the X-Men back to their time placement. And so, I mean, I reread these issues before this, and even the issues we're not going to cover yet in this video, I don't remember this part of the storyline getting back to, so...
No, and it kind of made me wonder as I was reading that. I'm going, okay, are they tipping the hand so soon that he is really being evil, like, everybody wants to believe he probably is being? But it seems awful early to be revealing that, so maybe they're just planning to have that hang over the whole thing, or I'm wondering if maybe he has some, I won't say magnanimous because it's Magneto, but some good reason for sending them back.
Yeah, that's something I'd considered. I was like, maybe this is him working on a reward for them. Like, these X-Men to some degree still want to go home. Or these X-Men have been operating the way they've been operating under the impression that going home is not, nor will ever be an option. Like, since the time they've gotten here, they've exhausted just about every possible potential way, path, method to getting back. Maybe Magneto's found a way to make it possible, and we'll see later if he, crams it down their throat or just lays it out there and was like, hey, if you want to, you can, and you don't have to, whatever. But
it also kind of made me wonder, especially rereading these issues, since I'd read them before, and then on the second read, I'm putting things together that I didn't really notice or didn't stick out to me on the first read through, but it's like all of the people that they fight, especially in this first 6, they're all from other dimensions or other timelines, it seems like. So I'm wondering if maybe there's a connection because of them being here, or if it's just general Marvel shenanigans.
No, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. So yeah, like maybe to some degree, Magneto's like picking their targets. You know what I mean? Like he's giving them their missions. And that's about the end of his involvement. So maybe he's steering them in directions that further the goal he has of that time device.
In which case, maybe that Black Tom was a different Black Tom. I thought he was dead too, but like you said, he could have been.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe this was a different reality Black Tom, and through no uncertain terms, like they don't waste any time revealing like why are the Sentinels doing what they're doing, and like when they lay it out, it's not a big shock. But I don't know if they've ever done the storyline before where, so basically these Sentinels or this version of the Sentinels have decided that well, there's a flaw in our programming. If we eliminate all the mutants, there won't be any mutants, and then we'll serve no purpose. So we're going to help the mutants cultivate into a certain level, and then we'll go back to hunting and destroying you and all that good stuff. For some reason, this sounds very familiar. Like we've heard this story somewhere else. Maybe I'm just forgetting where it came from. Whether it was X-Men or a whole other show concept, I don't remember. But it was at least an interesting take, because at least for these kids, X-Men kids, like it'll be a brand new idea. Like, oh, that's what's happening. Like, I don't know what you thought of it.
And there was that moment where after Bastion's telling him, I want to help, I want to stop the X-Men from going extinct, and this new mutant that's with them, I don't remember her name, that they found in Madrid, that they were there for in the first place.
Right.
But she asks him, don't you believe people can change? And then you get this little flashback of Jean talking to Magneto in the junkyard and saying, maybe I was wrong and things can be different. And you're like, you have this moment of, oh gosh, is this going to be about redeeming horrible villains? Or is he just got a different idea about what he's doing? And that turns out to be the case. And he's so upfront about it too when they ask him. That,
he's very nonchalant. He's like, isn't it obvious? If we exterminate you, we'll put ourselves out of work.
Yeah, I won't have a purpose anymore. And so then they, of course, immediately attack him, but instead of fighting back, they all just disappear to somewhere else.
Yep. Which, I mean, holds to their programming. Like if we fight you, that's again against our overall objective. So we're gonna let you work on your issues, and we're gonna take off. We'll come back. We'll check in on you later.
We'll see you later.
So then after that, they get into they go back and revisit the whole Windigo Jimmy thing. They go after him. They meet that detective. They actually find Jimmy. They find a eviscerated Windigo. And I don't know what you thought of it, but it almost seemed like there's another attempt at jamming a Wolverine into a title.
Yep, very much. I was like, and I think it was also maybe part of Marvel trying to tease, because everybody's been waiting for real Logan to come back, because nobody thinks he's going to stay gone. I think we're all shocked he's stayed gone as long as he has. And so I'm going, they're just, again, like you said, they're jamming another Wolverine into the mix, and I'm not sure we need one because we've already got two.
Right. And then, so a lot of this content also alludes to other story arcs that I know I haven't read. I don't know if you were familiar with them, but I guess some of the time displaced X-Men went to another reality, interacted with this Jimmy character, who is the son of Wolverine. I don't know who the mother is, or what reality they came from. I thought at first it had something to do with like Secret Wars, but I don't think the timing lines up correctly for all that.
It could have. I don't know. It's not a story I read. They spelled it out well enough in this issue that, I was able to put together kind of what happened.
Right.
But I never read the first one.
It was a alternate reality thing. Apparently, two of the young X-Men weren't even there. I think it might have been Psyche and somebody, but because someone was asking like, "What happened to version of me?" Like, "Oh, their version of you's dead." Like, oh, well, I'm glad I missed out on that boat. Let's see. And then towards the end of that conflict, while they're talking to Jimmy and learning out what's going on, we encounter the new Marauders. Let's see if I can find that roster. But what do you think of those characters?
Also, not from this universe, just like...
Yeah, exactly. Going back to the whole alternate reality thing.
It was an alternate armor, the Guardian, who I don't know, Mach 2, and then Quicksilver.
So Mach 2 is very like Polaris-ish,
Yeah, she's basically a girl Magneto.
right? If we like we said, Quicksilver, their costumes remind me of something out of like the Ultimate Universe for some reason.
Yeah, it's kind of the same like chevron-esque pattern on
Right.
the that they do in those.
Because I was thinking of Hawkeye from the Ultimate Universe, and then Quicksilver being in the same suit and all that good stuff. I'm sure they've had him in there before. The Guardian, whoever he's supposed to be, is seems like a alternate reality angel, their version. I kind of like the idea of them using armor like this. I don't know if we've seen a variety in her use of powers.
Oh yeah, she's kind of got like a dragon shape going on.
Right? Instead of just like the
And usually she
mechanized
just
armor.
manifests in that giant pink armor that
Yeah,
she
just
always has.
Trying to think of the big things here, like the reveal for.
And then enter Miss Sinister.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. Was Miss Sinister shows up. I first saw her in Secret Wars. If she existed outside of that, I don't have any knowledge of her. Do you have any familiarity?
She was in the X-23 book. I don't remember what she was in before that.
Well, that would line
was
up with what she
part
explains to
of-
Jean in terms of her reality hopping and kind of grabbing recruits from here and there.
Yeah. So that would make sense that she's just kind of moving around and hand-picking her subjects from wherever and whenever.
Let's see what else here. So after the conflict, I think it's worth noting that Miss Sinister ends up showing more interest in this young version of Jean that she seemed to be unaware of, or at least maybe just never had an opportunity to interact with before, and she kind of almost loses interest in Jimmy. Like her Marauders are there to retrieve Jimmy, and all of a sudden, like, you know what? Let's let you guys hang on the vine a little bit longer because I think there's a better opportunity here. So throughout this series, the young X-Men or the X-Men Gold, or I'm sorry, X-Men Blue, are based out of Madripoor. And I think the final issue in this arc has Jean kind of just sitting around a room bored and decides to. I think she was looking for Scott at first, and he's in a danger room session with Magneto, and Scott. He's not going to turn away from training, so I think she finds Jimmy and Hank in like the rec room and grabs them, and they go out to whatever festival is going on in town, and they encounter some. Well, Jimmy catches a scent that he recognizes, but isn't sure what it is. So he goes wander down an alleyway, of course, and sees some kind of drug deal.
Which is always a great idea in Madripoor.
Yeah, it's totally safe, totally fine. I guess when you're a Wolverine clone, you don't have to have the same danger awareness.
Yeah, when X-23 was there, she was kind of had the same attitude about the whole place in general.
What's really gonna be down the alley that's gonna be scarier than a Wolverine character?
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty much the arc for all 6 issues, and if you want to go back, was there anything of
they
great
kind of have
sequence you
a
wanted to
summary at the end there of your bad guys that you fought. They've got Bastion, and the person lurking in the shadow that they show is, I'm assuming, Beast's little friend, because I don't remember them fighting anybody that looked like that otherwise. And then you have Miss Sinister experimenting on Quicksilver, it looks like, and then Emma, which made me happy, but love Emma, so.